friends, welcome back to the series where I show you as a beginning Cricut crafter how you can become a Cricut crafting master within 10 projects. Today in this series is project number 8, and I can tell you right now we're going to have so much fun because I'm going to show you how to customize clip arts found within Cricut Design Space for our own projects. So we are going to take existing clip arts and we are going to change them up to make them our own. The fun and cool project that we're going to do today are these really cool rolled flower shadow boxes. In previous videos, I showed you how to make layered flowers and also rolled flowers. And this thing right here is so cute. However, the one thing I didn't do for either of those projects is to teach you how we create the flowers ourselves. So today I have this right here. This is what we're going to make today. And oh my goodness, I am obsessed. This is my most favorite shadow box that I've ever created. The colors of this are phenomenal. The layers of flowers that I created are phenomenal. This shadow box right here is quickly becoming my most favorite project that I probably created with my Cricut. I don't know, but I did say that in the last video when we created these invitations, right? Everything's my favorite. I just love Cricut crafting. Okay, anyways, I'm digressing. I need to get right back on track. We need to get the crazy train on track and we need to learn, and I need to teach you how to take clip art that we find in Cricut Design Space, change it up to where it fits our needs, cut and assemble this, and then you'll get something like this. Now, the cool thing about this project is a lot of what we've done before is only using cardstock, only using HTV, only using vinyl. Today, we are gonna mix medias and we are gonna do cardstock and vinyl, just to show you that you don't have to be held to one media doing one certain project. So this right here is a cardstock project, but trying to glue all of these letters in place onto a shadow box would frankly be an absolute nightmare. So we're gonna mix media here, and I'm gonna do a little bit of vinyl just to make crafting easy and frustration free, because I can tell you right now, Cricut crafting should be frustration free. So for this project, minimal supplies. You are gonna need a shadow box. That'll be linked in the description of this video. Then you're gonna need as many colors as flowers as you choose. I personally am going to use 6 sheets of my plain cardstock found in my cardstock warehouse. Then I'm just gonna need a small little piece of white vinyl. I use tech wrap. It's the best of the best. If we're going to be Cricut crafting, we don't want things to be frustrating. So we're going to go with frustration-free supplies to make crafting fun. That's the whole point of this series, to teach you how to do Cricut crafting frustration-free so we can continue crafting, because I have to tell you right now, I love Cricut crafting because it is frustration-free. All right, first things first, you know the drill. We are gonna head over to the computer, do a little bit of design work, then we're gonna go to the Cricuts, cut and assemble, and then I'll meet you back here with the finished product. And you're gonna have a lot of fun doing it. Let's go. Okay, the very first thing you want to do is open up a blank window in Cricut Design Space. And actually, if you see right here, we have a rolled flower project, and 14,000 people have favorited this project because that is how popular rolled flower shadow boxes are currently. Now, I don't want to use what 14,000 other people are using. I want to create something different and unique so no one else is going to have a finished shadow box like me. So I'm going to come over here into new project. Now, the first thing that I want to create is the base layer of my shadow box. So what I'm going to do is come over here into shapes, and we are going to insert a square. Now, this next step is very important. What you want to do is grab your shadow box, and you want to measure the inside portion of your shadow box, because all shadow boxes are different. And if you didn't purchase the same exact ones that I purchased, chances are we have a different size. So what you want to do is measure your shadow box, and then what you want to do is create your square the size shadow box that you have. So I have an 8-inch box, so I'm going to use an 8-inch square. Now this right here is going to be the base layer. This is what I'm going to glue all of my flowers to. For my base layer, what I want to do is use ivory cardstock. So I'm going to turn this right here from charcoal to an ivory color. That is light yellow. I'm just going to press advanced, and I'm going to drag this over until I get like a pretty ivory color. And then I'm going to click out of that. Okay, so now what I need is flowers to go into this shadow box that I'm creating. For this project, I'm actually not going to do rolled flowers. I personally prefer doing layers of cardstock to build a flower versus doing rolled flowers. So what I'm going to do is come over here into images, and I'm going to search in images flower and then press return. Now what I want to do is search for flowers that have layers. If we're just doing a quick little look right here, I can tell that this right here is going to be a single layer of flower. And this right here looks like it has 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of flowers. Now, I don't want to have to sift through 22,000 flower images. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here to layers, and I'm going to put multi. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here into this plus sign, and I want this to be a cut only file. I don't want to have to use a printer for this project. Now we went from 22,000 to 9,000 clip arts, which is a lot more manageable than 22,000. Now I want to create multiple different flowers. So I'm just going to select on a couple flowers that I like. This one right here, I like. So I'm just going to press the plus sign. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. I see this flower right here and I like that. It looks like it has 3 different layers. So I'm just going to press the plus sign. For this project, I want to create 5 different flowers. That just gives my shadow box a lot of dimension and a lot of texture because we are using flat cardstock and we want to create dimension with flat cardstock. I like this one right here, so that's number 3. You just want to add in flowers that you like the most. It's okay if the coloring of your flowers is not what you like right now because we're going to change that when we go back into finishing our design. Okay, and I like this last one for number 5, so I'm just going to press the plus sign. When I'm done adding in all the flowers that I want to use, I'm just going to press view. Now I have selected 5 flowers. What I want to do now is I'm just going to make these smaller so they fit inside my shadow box that I'm creating. Now that I have the flowers into a more manageable size that fits onto our screen, what I want to do now is recolor them to the color of cardstock that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to work on one flower and I'm just going to open this up to where I can see all the layers so I can change the cardstock colors over. Okay, so for this one right here, I want to drag this over here because I actually don't want like the inside portions of this. I want to change the way this flower looks. I don't want to just use just this clip art. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to press ungroup. And this is like the cool part about creating your own designs is that you can customize them to your liking. So like, I don't want that small little piece. It will probably get lost in everything and it'll be a pain in the butt to keep track of. So I'm just going to delete it. And this right here, I'm just going to delete. I don't need that either. Okay, I'm going to drag this over down here for a second because what I want to do is create a secondary layer of this particular petal. So I'm going to click on it and copy and paste, Command C and Command V. And I'm going to put this on top. However, I am going to rotate this just a little bit. And I'm going to make this smaller. So this right here is going to nest inside my larger flower. When we go to assemble this, it's going to look amazing. I just know it. Okay, then I'm going to select this little thing and I'm going to arrange this to the front and I'm going to drag this up here. Now I like the look of this flower, but I still want to change the color over. So I am going to select my flower petals and I'm going to come up here to pink and I want this to be like a dusty blue color to use some of my new plain cardstock. So I'm just going to select on the blue, come down to advanced, and I want this to be a dusty blue color. When I have the color chosen, I'm just going to click out of that. Now for this middle part, I am going to use my light yellow plain cardstock. So I'm going to click on this pink swatch and I'm going to change it light yellow and then click out of it. Now I'm going to select all these pieces right here and I'm just going to right click and press group. That way it stays as one group. And I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller to fit inside my shadow box. Now coming over here to this one right here, I like the way that this looks. So I'm just going to change the colors over. So I'm going to open this up right here. And I'm gonna change both of these colors over to just one pink color. And the center, I'm gonna change over to like a goldenrod color, so I can use my goldenrod plain cardstock. Okay, and then this one right here, we're gonna actually need to do some edits. So we're gonna move this over here to the right, and I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna press ungroup. The reason why I'm gonna need to do some edits is because if I move this circle and I move these over, do you see how this right here is not attached? They are all individual petal pieces. That would be a pain in the butt to have to assemble later. So what I am going to do is I pressed ungroup. I'm gonna select this circle, shift on my keyboard in my first layer of petals. I'm gonna Command C and Command V, copy and paste. I am going to right click, Command, and then weld. So this right here is a welded piece. Great, I love it. Now I'm gonna take that layer that we just welded together and I'm just gonna delete it because I don't need it. Then what I'm gonna do is doing the same thing that I did before. I'm gonna select my circle, shift on my keyboard. I'm gonna select the second layer in that flower, Command C, Command V, right click, combine, and then weld. So this right here goes over here, and then I can delete the second layer of the flower. This is just making sure that when I cut this out, it's all going to be one solid piece versus a whole bunch of little random pieces that we're gonna have to figure out how to glue together. It's more manageable that way. Now you can keep doing the same thing up here, but what I'm gonna do is now selecting these two pieces, I'm just gonna copy and paste, so Command C and Command V, and I'm gonna drag this over here. And just like what we did over here when we rotated, I am just going to take my little rotate button and I'm gonna rotate. Now what I'm gonna do is selecting this little circle, I am gonna come up here to arrange, and I'm gonna arrange this to the front, and I'm gonna put it in the middle of my flower. Now I'm gonna delete this right here. So when I initially inserted this into Cricut Design Space, I had a clip art that was going to be a pain in the butt to assemble, and now I just made it a lot easier for me in the assembly process. Okay, now what I want to do is I'm going to select all of my petals, and I'm going to change it over. You'll get a question mark because it's all different colors. I am going to change this over into all my bubblegum pink color, and then I'm going to click out of that. And I'm gonna change the center of my flower over to my goldenrod yellow. When I'm done doing that, I'm gonna select this flower and I'm gonna right click and press group. And just drag this back over here. This one right here doesn't need any edits. I'm gonna be using my lavender with my goldenrod. I like that. And this one right here, I am going to, oh, looks like I have some additional layers. So let's right click and press ungroup. Now I want my petals to be my goldenrod yellow, and I want to delete this one right here because it seems to be really small and it would be a pain in the butt later to assemble and glue. And I'm just gonna make this one bigger. And this I want to be my light yellow, so I'm gonna click on the brown and make this light yellow. I like the look of that, so I'm gonna select that, right click and press group. I'm gonna bring this over here. So now what you want to do is fill in this square with all the flowers that you're going to use for your project. So I'm going to press Shift on my keyboard, selecting all of my flowers, and I'm going to copy and paste. So for this, I'm just going to, put these inside my square, and I'm going to fill up my square. I would suggest cutting more flowers than what you think you're going to need, because the last thing you want to do is get all the way down to gluing and then have to bust out your Cricut because you didn't cut enough flowers. So I'm just going to fill up this box. It looks messy, it looks crazy, but I'd rather have too many flowers than not enough flowers when we assemble this, Now, if you wanted to add wording, so if we go back to this original design, you'll see that in this rolled flower shadow box that there's some wording, right? If you wanted to add wording, you totally could. You could create your own text box, which I've shown you how to do in multiple different videos, or you could also go into images, which is the same thing about the flower, and you could search up a image that you wanted to use for vinyl. Now, because this is a really cute flower shadow box, I'm gonna do something that kind of has a flower saying to it. So I put flower saying in the search box, and I'm just gonna choose a saying that I think will fit well onto my shadow box. That being said, if it's multiple colors, it's okay because we'll change that here in a bit. Okay, so I actually like this design right here. So I'm just gonna press that plus sign and I'm gonna press view. Now this right here is multiple colors of vinyl, and I only want to use one color of vinyl. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna right click this and I'm gonna press weld, combined, and then weld. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come up here to this right here and I'm gonna select white because I'm gonna be using white vinyl for this project. Now what I'm gonna do is drag this over here and I'm gonna resize this to where it will fit onto my shadow box. This is going to go on the glass of my shadow box, but if it fits inside the square, it'll fit onto my shadow box that I'm using. Okay, once you have the look that you're going for, you want to save your work and then you want to press make. Now what we want to do is nest our flower petals together, because you can see in my particular project that the Cricut says I'm going to need 2 sheets of goldenrod yellow, and that's not true. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna curve my images over and I am going to nest these together, conserving on material. You wanna make sure when you do this that your cutouts are not touching, because if they're touching, that means that they're gonna cut out and look really weird. So you just wanna make sure that when you nest your items together that nothing's touching. But we just went from needing 9 inches of cardstock plus a second mat. I'm going to select all of these, drag these down, press these 3 dots, move object, go to mat 2, press confirm, and I'm going to move this over here. So what Cricut was saying initially was that we needed 2 sheets of goldenrod yellow, but that was not the truth, because now I am only going to need 6 inches of goldenrod yellow to complete my shadow box. And the great thing is that's actually including probably more flowers than I will end up using. So you just want to make sure that you go through the entire file and nest these to where you're not going to be using so much material, conserving on your material so you don't use too much material or waste too much material, because there's nothing worse than being wasteful. Okay, when we're done doing that, you want to go and pull out your cardstock, and then I'll meet you over at the Cricuts. Just like with any other project, I want you to pull out all of the material that you're going to be using for this project. The reason for this is not only is it time efficient, but also you have a chance to pull out and use your smaller scrap pieces and be able to put them in the stacks. When it comes to working with vinyl, you want to make sure that your vinyl does not have a white film over or a clear film over the top of it. Most tech wrap vinyls, if you're using tech wrap, will have like a clear piece of protective layer. You want to peel that away from your material. Okay, I only need a 7" by 7" piece of vinyl, so I am just going to cut out a 7" by 7" piece of vinyl. Then what I'm going to do is put my vinyl onto my Cricut mat. Remember, top left goes all your material, and I am going to insert this into my Cricut underneath the little white tabs. Now you'll remember in project 1, all vinyl, we need to switch our dial over into the vinyl cutting mode on our Cricut. We're going to press continue on our computer. Now you want to make sure that your computer also says vinyl, because that's what we're going to be using, vinyl, vinyl. Then I'm going to press this fast cut mode because I don't have the patience for a slow cutting machine. Then we just press the blinking C button. Now as this cuts, I am going to get a second mat, and I'm going to prepare my second mat with what is next for my project. Okay, when that's done, you just want to switch out your mat, and you always want to make sure that when we switch materials that you go back to your Cricut, and we want to change this over to the cardstock mode and press the blinking C button. Okay, then we're just going to exit out of that. And then you just want to keep cutting your material until you run out of material. The other thing you can do while your cardstock is cutting is you could actually do some prep work, like weed your vinyl decal. Weeding is just taking away the stuff you do not want, just like in project 1 where we did that easy vinyl decal, doing the same thing. So what you should be left when you're done cutting all your cardstock is nice little piles. I love creating piles because they're easier to manage. I went ahead and weeded out my vinyl just like I showed you because it just helps with the process of assembly. And I have this little square. This is going to be your backer for your shadow box. You can just set this to the side for right now. Now for this project, I am going to be using 2 types of glue. The first type of glue is going to be super tight precision craft glue, just to glue all of my cardstock together. Now I picked up these fondant rolling tools off of Amazon. They're really cheap. And then also this little mouse pad type deal. Everything that I use today will be linked in the description of this video so you can shop while you watch. Okay, the very first thing that I love to do is to create dimension with these flowers because right now they're just flat pieces of cardstock and they don't really look like flowers, right? So what I like to do is taking one flower petal set, and I'm going to take one of my rolling tools and I'm just going to roll my flowers. Now, nature is not perfect, so your flowers don't need to be perfect. But we just took, out of 2 seconds, we just took something flat and turned it into something that has more dimension that looks like a real flower, you know? You're going to want to take your rolling tools and you want to roll and give dimension to every single one of these flower petals. Now there's no right or wrong way to do this. The reason for that is because flowers again are not, in nature, are not perfect. They all have different dimensions, different waves, different looks. So you can tell that as I go and roll my flowers that I'm picking up and using different tools just so it gives it a different look on a lot of the petals. You don't want your flowers, although we are trying to give it movement, you don't want it all to look the same because then it's going to not look like nature. Okay, when you're done rolling all the flowers, it's going to look kind of like the similar of what it looked like when we got done cutting. However, now all of these have dimension and aren't flat. Now, the reason why I told you earlier that we needed to create more flowers than we think we needed for our shadow box, the reason for that is because we curled this up. So we made these flowers a little bit smaller. Okay, and when you make them smaller, you may end up needing more of these flowers. Okay, now for this next part, I always like to reference my design. So for like example, this right here, this flower right here only has 2 petals. So I only need to grab 2 of these. And this is where the precision craft glue comes into play. And I'm just gonna put it on the back of the middle of my yellow flower, only in the middle of it. And I am going to put this, staggering it, just like how you would see it in the design. So referencing your design, and in these flowers, I have these right here, and I'm just gonna put this in the middle, and we're gonna lay that down. Doesn't this look so cute? And there's dimension to it, which is great. So we're gonna just keep gluing our flowers together, referencing our design on Cricut Design Space because you want to glue these flowers just like you have designed them in your design. And just like with this pink one right here, we have 4. So this yellow one, we only had 2 layers. This one right here, we have 4. So you want to make sure that we're gluing the correct amount of flower petals onto our flowers. Now that we have all our flowers in place, what you want to do is grab your backer, and this is frankly is going to be the hardest part of your entire project, is you're going to start building your shadow box. What I'm going to do is taking one flower and my hot glue gun. It's nice and hot. I'm just going to put a dollop of glue onto the back of my flower, and I'm going to place this towards the corner of my shadow box. I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to use a different flower because I want it to be different all the way around. Okay, now what we want to do is start layering in these flowers. And again, the hardest part of this project is just trying to make sure that you like the look of your shadow box that you're creating. Now I have all of my flowers glued onto my backer, and you can see that we have a lot of dimension. If you wanted to, what you could do is like take your flower petals and hand roll them a little bit more to giving them more dimension. And when I did that, doesn't it look like all of these flowers are just popping up right off this piece of paper? Taking flat cardstock and turning it into a work of art. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to turn this over. Now remember, this square right here is what is going to fit inside our shadow box. If there's paper hanging over the sides, which there is for me, what you want to do is grab a pair of scissors and you just want to trim off the pieces of hanging over cardstock. So this will fit into your shadow box. If you don't do this part, your piece of paper will not fit into your shadow box. So this is very important. Okay, now that we did that, we have some really crisp edges. That's okay, because we're going to take our shadow box and we are going to put this inside the shadow box. And when we roll this over, look at that. It fits nice and good in there, and you have all those layers. Oh my gosh, this thing looks absolutely delicious. It is so cute. Okay, I'm going to close in my shadow box. Are you ready for this? Doesn't this look so pretty? We took flat cardstock and made something 3D and absolutely amazing. And we're not done yet, because we need to put this on here to make it even cuter. All right, we're gonna move this over to the side. We are gonna move out all of these pieces of scrap cardstock that we don't need. Now, taking your vinyl and also your transfer tape, same thing we did in project 1. We want to create a transfer for our vinyl decal. So here is our vinyl decal. This is our transfer. We want to peel away the masking or the backing of our transfer tape. Then we're going to put this onto our vinyl decal. Using a squeegee or a ruler that has, you know, like the cloth edge, and we just want to burnish this together. We want to roll this over, and we want to take away our paper backing of our vinyl decal. Now we're going to take our shadow box. You want to make sure that the bottom of your shadow box is facing you. And we want to put this vinyl decal onto the center of our shadow box. Now I would like to know here that you want to make sure it's nice and center, because otherwise that you're going to have to recut another vinyl decal and take the old one off and put it back in. Okay, so I like the look of where I have that, so I'm just going to press this down. I'm going to use the cloth portion, and I'm going to press this onto my shadow box, and I'm going to peel away the transfer tape. And look at our finished shadow box. Oh my gosh, isn't this so cute? Now that we're done with this project, did I give you the bug in designing? Because I'm telling you, wasn't that a lot of fun and actually really easy? And I need to know, because there is a huge difference between rolled flowers and layered flowers. Do you have a preference on rolled flowers or layered flowers? I have to tell you, my preference is layered flowers all day, every day. These right here scream real, and these right here, although beautiful, it's just, they're all the same. It doesn't remind me, like real flowers in real life aren't rolled. They're layers. That's why I love layered flowers. You need to let me know in the comments of this video. Now friends, I sure hope I've given you the design bug, because the last 2 projects in this series is going to be a lot of our own design work. We are gonna create things that nobody else has. It's just gonna be ours, which is so much fun. I absolutely love it. All right, friends, I sure hope I inspired you to create, and I'll see you over in video 9, where we're gonna do a whole lot of design work, and we're gonna have a finished product that only you are gonna have, because you're gonna create it all by yourself as well.